When you slow down, life reveals what truly matters. Life rarely announces its lessons. It speaks softly, in the spaces we rush past, in the breath we forget to feel, in the moments we dismiss as ordinary. Yet within these fragile passing instants, something profound waits, something we were born to recognize, but somehow learned to ignore. There is a quiet truth woven through the fabric of existence. Everything is always moving, changing, dissolving, becoming. And somewhere between our striving and our longing, between our ambitions and our fears, we lose sight of the simple miracle of being alive. We forget the sacredness of a breath because we are chasing something just beyond the horizon. We mistake motion for progress, noise for meaning, accumulation for fulfillment. But beneath the surface of our frantic lives, there is a rhythm that never hurries, a wisdom that is older than words, a calm that does not depend on circumstances, and it waits patiently, like a mountain, unmoved by the winds. To slow down is not to retreat from life, it is to return to it. When we slow down, the world softens, the heart unclenches, the mind stops demanding and starts listening. The ordinary becomes luminous, the simple becomes profound, and the truth, the one that has been patiently waiting, begins to reveal itself. This is the journey we walk together now, not toward escape, but toward presence, not toward perfection, but toward clarity, not toward some distant enlightenment, but toward the very center of the life already unfolding within it. Let us step gently. There is a moment often unnoticed when the night begins to surrender to morning. The sky does not rush, the stars do not resist. Darkness softens into light with a grace that asks nothing of the world. If you've ever been awake at that hour, truly awake, not scrolling through another restless attempt to fill an inner emptiness, you may have felt the world breathing with you, a shared stillness, a quiet that makes you aware of your own heartbeat, your own presence, your own aliveness. This is the kind of moment that modern life teaches us to overlook. Yet here lies the essence of a truth as old as the earth. Nothing real is found in haste. We rush because we fear falling behind. We fill our days with tasks, our minds with noise, our hearts with anxieties disguised as ambition. We hurry toward goals that shift like mirages. And all the while, life keeps offering its quiet invitations. Slow down, it whispers. Slow down enough to feel the ground beneath you. Slow down enough to notice the sensations in your chest. Slow down enough to recognize that the person rushing is not the person you were born to be. It's a strange thing how quickly we abandon ourselves in the name of becoming someone else. We chase identities like awards, believing that if we just achieve enough, earn enough, own enough, improve enough, someone, maybe even ourselves, will finally declare us worthy. But worthiness is not earned. It is uncovered. And often, the uncovering begins with stillness. When you slow down, the armor you've been carrying for years becomes noticeable. You start to feel the weight of the expectations you never questioned, the beliefs you inherited without choosing, the habits that grew around your wounds like scar tissue. You notice the tension in your shoulders, the doubts in your chest, the ways you shrink or inflate yourself depending on who you're with. You begin to see the stories you tell yourself, stories that once felt like truth, now exposed as guesses, assumptions, echoes of old fears. It can be unsettling, this first encounter with yourself, but it is also the doorway to freedom. The mind is like a river after a storm, debris floating, sediments unsettled, currents rough and unpredictable. If you jump in while it churns, you panic, you get pulled by forces you don't understand. But let the river slow, Let the waters clear, and suddenly you can see all the way to the bottom. Modern life keeps the water in constant turbulence. It turns us into strangers to our own hearts. But when you slow down, genuinely slow down, the sediments begin to settle, and what remains is a clarity that cannot be found in books, cannot be taught by gurus, cannot be bought with wealth or achieved through status. It is the clarity of simply being alive. Some people think slowing down means doing less, but it's not about subtraction. It's about attention. You can move slowly and still be in a rush. You can move quickly and still be deeply present. Slowing down is not a change in pace. It is a change in relationship to yourself, to others, to the world. Consider the way a leaf falls. It does not hurry or resist. It moves with the unseen currents that carry it. It follows the moment because it has no concept of elsewhere. Now is its only home. When was the last time you felt that way? Not drifting without intention, but allowing the moment to be enough. Allowing yourself to inhabit the reality in front of you, rather than the fears or fantasies in your mind. We are taught to be productive, not present. To be efficient, not awake. To be successful, not sincere. But these measures of living do not reflect the richness of the heart. No one on their last day wishes they had filled more spreadsheets, sent more emails, bought more things, or moved more quickly through their life. What people long for, often too late, are the moments of attention they lost, the conversations where they were only half listening, the sunrises they dismissed, the laughter they hurried through, the love they felt but never expressed, the life that was lived beside them while their mind was traveling elsewhere. But you are here now, and this is the threshold. This is the invitation. To slow down is to reclaim the life that is already yours. When you slow down, you begin to notice the beauty hidden in what once felt ordinary. The way light rests on a wall. The way a child examines the world with unfiltered wonder. The way your breath rises and falls, like a gentle tide. The way silence feels alive when you stop trying to fill it. This is what becomes visible when the rushing stops. Life reveals itself not through force, but through attention. It does not shout, it whispers, and only a quiet mind can hear. There is a deeper reason why slowing down transforms us, because what we are truly slowing down is not the body, but the craving that drives it. Beneath every rush lies a desire. Beneath every desire lies a fear. And beneath every fear lies a misunderstanding about who we are. The Buddha spoke often about craving, not as a moral failing, but as a misunderstanding, an innocent mistake that binds us to suffering. Craving is the grasping after something we believe will complete us. It is the restless impulse that says not this, not now, not enough. It is the quiet ache that pulls us toward the future and away from the present, promising fulfillment just beyond the next achievement, the next relationship, the next escape. And yet, no matter how fast we chase, the thirst remains. Slowing down is a radical act because it interrupts the cycle. It pauses the momentum of craving long enough for us to see it, to recognize how much of our lives are driven by an unexamined emptiness, to see that the happiness we seek is not waiting in some distant outcome, but is hidden within the simplicity of the moment we are already in. Imagine standing by a lake on a still morning. If the water is agitated, you see only distortion. But when the wind stops, when the world becomes quiet, the surface becomes a mirror. It reflects the sky, the mountains, the trees, the vastness around it. When the lake is still, reality reveals itself. When the mind is still, the heart reveals itself. This kind of stillness is not forced. It is allowed. It arises naturally when we stop feeding the fires of distraction and urgency, when we stop running from ourselves And yet, many people fear slowing down because they fear what they will find in the quiet. The silence feels like a void. Stillness feels like exposure. The mind begins to speak truths we have long avoided. But this discomfort is not a sign you're doing something wrong. It is a sign you are finally listening. Slowing down is the first step toward intimacy with your own life. And intimacy always reveals what has been hidden. You may discover loneliness you haven't acknowledged, grief you never processed, regret that still echoes, dreams you abandoned, joy you never allowed yourself to feel fully. The weight of expectations that do not belong to you. The masks you've worn for so long, you mistake them for your face. Slowing down is a form of truth-telling. And truth, even when painful, is liberating. The heart longs for authenticity, yet we live in a culture that rewards performance. We wear our busyness like a badge of honor. We fill our schedules to avoid confronting the emptiness. We drown our inner voice with constant stimulation. Music, podcasts, notifications, scrolling, endless. But the truth is simple. You cannot meet yourself in motion. You meet yourself in stillness. When you slow down, life becomes spacious. That space is not empty. It is alive. Within it, you can finally feel the subtle textures of your experience. You can sense the way emotions rise and fall like waves. You can observe your thoughts without believing them. You can witness the self you have constructed, the self you defend, the self you market, the self you fear losing, and glimpse something beyond it. A self that is not striving, a self that is not lacking, a self that is not defined by achievement or comparison, a self that simply is. This is where compassion is born. When you see your own suffering clearly, without judgment, without denial, a tenderness naturally arises. You begin to understand why you've rushed, why you've grasped, why you've felt inadequate, why you've feared being still. You realize you were never broken, only unaware. And with this understanding comes a gentleness, the kind of gentleness that allows healing, the kind that allows presence, the kind that allows you to relate to yourself, not as a project to be fixed, but as a being to be held. Slowing down is not just a shift in pace. It is a shift in identity. You stop identifying with the constant motion of your thoughts and begin to touch the quiet awareness beneath them. You start to realize that the one who is aware of your experience is not entangled in it. The sky does not cling to the clouds. Awareness does not cling to the mind. This realization is not theoretical. It is felt deeply, intimately, when you allow yourself to be still. And once you feel it, even for a moment, something changes. You begin to trust the quiet. You begin to recognize the difference between the noise of the mind and the clarity of the heart. And you begin to see that slowing down is not a retreat from life, but a way of finally stepping into it fully. There is a paradox at the center of the human experience. We search tirelessly for meaning, yet meaning is born not from seeking, but from seeing. When we move too fast, life becomes a blur. The days fold into each other. The sensations of being alive, the subtle, sacred textures of reality, disappear into monotony. But when you slow down, the world regains its color. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. You begin to notice the way sunlight warms the skin, the way shadows move across the floor, the way wind dances through leaves, the way a stranger's smile lingers in your mind, the way your breath feels as it leaves your body warm and alive. These are not small things. These are the essence of life. Meaning is not an exotic treasure hidden in the future. It is the simple truth shining through the present moment, waiting to be noticed. When you slow down, relationships deepen. You begin to hear others without preparing your response. You begin to feel the presence of the person in front of you, rather than projecting your assumptions onto them. You begin to see the humanity in strangers, the vulnerability in those you love, the longing behind even the harshest words. Slowing down turns conversation into connection. It turns touch into tenderness. It turns time into a gift. Even suffering changes shape. When we're rushing, pain feels like a threat, something to be avoided, suppressed, outrun. But in stillness, pain becomes a teacher. You begin to see the impermanence of every emotion, every sensation. The ache softens when you stop resisting it. The grief moves when you stop clinging to it. The fear dissolves when you stop feeding it with attention. Stillness reveals that nothing in your experience is permanent. And within that realization, suffering begins to loosen its grip. You discover a quiet courage, the courage to face life as it is, not as you wish it to be. Slowing down also awakens gratitude. Not the gratitude forced by affirmations or lists, but the natural gratitude that arises when you actually encounter your life. When you taste your food instead of consuming it on autopilot. When you truly look at the sky instead of glancing at it between tasks. When you feel the presence of someone you love instead of taking them for granted. Gratitude is not an obligation. It is a recognition that this moment, this breath, this heartbeat, this chance to exist is a miracle. And through this recognition, you begin to live differently. You stop waiting for life to begin once you achieve something. You stop postponing joy until conditions are perfect. You stop believing that happiness lives somewhere else. You begin to soften into the present. You begin to trust that nothing is missing in this moment except your awareness of it. Slowing down is a practice, not a one-time decision. Life will continue to pull you into noise, into hurry, into craving. The world is built to distract, but every time you remember to breathe deeply, every time you pause before reacting, every time you choose presence over speed, you return to yourself. And with each return, the mind becomes less frantic. The heart becomes less guarded. The world becomes less threatening. Presence becomes a refuge. Ultimately, slowing down is not about escaping the world. It is about engaging with it fully, consciously, wholeheartedly. It is about living with intention, with clarity, with compassion. It is about recognizing that the pace of the world does not have to become the pace of your heart. You are allowed to move gently. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to take your time. You are allowed to be human. And in that humanity, vulnerable, tender, imperfect, you will find everything you've been seeking. Because what truly matters was never hiding. It was simply waiting for you to slow down enough to see it. Life speaks most clearly when we are quiet enough to listen. It reveals its wisdom, not through intensity, but through intimacy. And the more we slow down, the more we discover that meaning, love, connection, and peace were never distant. They were always here, woven into each breath, each moment, each step. The world may continue to rush around you, but within you, within the stillness you cultivate, there is a sanctuary the world cannot disturb, a clarity the noise cannot obscure, a presence that transforms the simplest moments into sacred ones. May you walk gently through your days. May you breathe deeply, listen softly, and meet each moment with openness. And may the slowing down reveal what has always been waiting, the truth of your own heart. If this journey spoke to you, if it opened even a small space of stillness, of clarity, of presence, I invite you to stay connected, subscribe, follow, and return here, when your heart needs a quiet place to rest. Until then, move slowly, live fully, and let life reveal what truly matters.